They arrived at the small private airstrip, where the plane was stored and awaiting their return flight to Texas. The pilot hadn't arrived yet. Max and John were exiting the SUV when John stopped, nostrils flaring. Turning to Max, he said, "Get back in the car, now. Meet you at the airport entrance." Then he changed to his wolf and loped away. Max opened the driver's door and motioned for Kenna to move over. She hopped in the back, next to Lizzie instead. In seconds, Max was driving in the opposite direction, toward the exit. It took Lizzie a few seconds before she could process what was happening. Wait, where are we going? Why did John change? Max responded curtly. There's either a Lycan out there, or someone who sent John recognizes. Clark or the other men must have found out about the plane. Lizzie's heart started to race. And you left him? What the hell are you thinking? Lizzie didn't even notice she was yelling until Kenna poked her in the ribs. Rubbing her ribs, Lizzie glared at her friend. What? He left John alone out there, and we don't even know how many there are. As the car came to a halt, Kenna replied calmly, I'll bet you John knows exactly how many there are, and if he needed help, he wouldn't have gone alone. I'm sure he's fine. Max's movement in the front seat caught Lizzie's eye. Her eyes popped a bit when she saw him holding a handgun and scanning the roadside. How many times would she need to see someone holding a gun before she stopped having a mini heart attack at the sight of one? She was going to the range and taking lessons when she got home. Kenna loved to shoot. She'd go with her. Max saw her watching and said, If you want to help, keep your head down. Lycan are less likely to use guns, but it's not impossible. Something must have caught his eye, because he turned to them and threw the keys. Keep the doors locked, and then hopped out of the car. Kenna immediately locked the doors and ducked. She grabbed at Lizzie's arm and yanked downward. Hard. Ow! Quit it, Lizzie said. I think I see John. Both women looked out the window, but what Lizzie saw wasn't John's black, silver, and white coat. The wolf approaching them was fully black. Oh, shit. That was why Max had left the car, his gun at the ready. She looked at Max, waiting for him to fire. But Max was standing calmly, aiming but obviously not shooting. Looking slightly past the black wolf, Lizzie suddenly realized why Max hadn't fired. Behind the darker wolf, she could see the silvery mixed coat of John's wolf. John was steadily gaining, but he was also in the line of any shot Max might take. Lizzie looked back to Max. He wouldn't take a shot that endangered his friend, would he? Max's position remained unchanged, gun raised and hands steady. By the time Lizzie turned back to John, he'd reached the black wolf. John grabbed the hind leg of the black wolf, wrenching him off his feet in mid-stride. As the darker wolf fell to the ground on his side, Lizzie could see the silvery wolf, John, still had his enemy's hind leg in his mouth. With one massive shake of his head, John hobbled the darker wolf. Lizzie could barely make out the dark form of the other wolf as he struggled to stand, snapping frantically at John as he did. Unsuccessful in his attempts to stand, the black wolf changed tactics and tried to drag himself away. Losing his grip on the darker wolf's leg, John repositioned himself, grabbing at the slower, wounded wolf's neck. The thick fur covering and protecting the wolf's jugular couldn't prevent what happened next. Instead of ripping or tearing at his enemy's throat, John held the black wolf's neck in his massive jaws and shook viciously until his enemy's neck was broken. Lizzie could feel the tears slowly slipping down her face. She rubbed her face, surprised because she wasn't sad. All she wanted, with her entire being, was for John to walk safely away. And whatever that meant for the unnamed black wolf, well, she was okay with that. So she cried, tears of relief slipping slowly down her face. Max tapped on the window, startling Lizzie. Before she could react, Kenna had the doors unlocked. Max opened up the driver's door and reached across to the bag stashed on the passenger floor. He pulled out a pair of sweats and headed toward John.